Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen.
This is Jolie.
We're here for the latest edition of Who You Backing, our weekly draft style show. And this week we are going to look at Fight Camp, all 4 weeks of it, which encompasses 20 fights, 5 fights per card as per the COVID-19 restrictions. And some of them are really, really good. So we're going to take turns depending on if I get the trivia question right or not, depends on
Yeah.
who goes first. We're going to pick matches from the Fight Camp cards and see who comes up with the best top three, and then you guys can let us know how we got on.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I believe you are asking me the trivia question this week.
Yeah. So obviously, as the episode's based on Fight Camp, and the Fight Camp schedule was released a few weeks ago, what day was the Fight Camp schedule released? If you can remember.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a
Okay.
difficult one this week.
No, I might have to try and work this out.
Yeah, I know. I thought you'd have some days of when you
No,
uploaded
because it was
certain.
a Friday. I know it was a Friday because I remember looking for it specifically on the Friday because they said on the Monday they were going to announce the whole thing on the Friday. And it was probably not the Friday just gone, but the one before, I would guess. So what are we now? The 9th of July when we film this. So tomorrow's the 10th, so that'd be the 3rd. So it'd be June
Oh.
27th.
Yes. Oh, it's Friday 26th
Oh,
of June.
I've got my maths wrong then. I
I
knew
know
that
that's
Friday.
quite. I was literally looking into the camera, thinking, "You've done it again. Fair play to you," because obviously you work in the industry, so you know the dates
It's because I'm
well of
working
these things.
backwards. I must
But
have
the fact
must
that
have
you
had
said,
June as
"Oh,
31 days instead of 30.
that's quality,"
Beaten by basic maths, not
I
boxing
know
knowledge.
that was a good. That's what it should be like. That was a close one.
Oh, all right,
So
well, you get. I wonder why you were cheering because I thought I'd got it right, and you were cheering. I thought, oh, that's
I
nice
know,
of you.
yeah. It was,
Oh,
oh, that's a,
you get
no,
the
but
first pick then, grudgingly.
I'm picking the first pick. It's the obvious first pick. White versus Povetkin. It's the pay per view choice. I'm not sure whether it's pay per view worthy. We can chat about that in a second. But obviously, I think it's the one that you have to pick first. I mean, it's the last fight of the 4 fight weeks. And it's a great fight. Obviously, Povetkin's still a top class heavyweight, a world class heavyweight, regardless of he's past and his drug bans and things like that. He's still a top heavyweight, and Dillian Whyte's obviously had a bad year last year. He still fought and won twice, but I think this is his sort of comeback trail. Obviously, fighting for the interim, I believe, for like the 8,000th time, and it's going to be an interesting fight. And I think Dillian Whyte's going to come away with the victory. But do you think it's pay per view worthy?
I don't think the card as a whole is no. I think if Taylor Serrano had still been on there and maybe one more good fight,
I'd say Taylor Serrano, obviously White Povetkin, and then like a Coley versus
yeah, like one more,
Glavashki. That
yeah.
would be good. That would be good.
But I think it's a more interesting fight now. Dillian White split with Mark Tibbs. I think it's a more dangerous fight for him now and a more
Yeah.
competitive fight against
Mm,
Povetkin. So
yeah.
on that side, I think it's a good pick. Well
Mm,
done. So I get my first pick. I'm going to go for Zelfa Barrett against Eric Donovan. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, for me, as soon as the cards were announced, that was the one that stood out for me.
Yeah.
Zelfa
Same.
Barrett, very exciting young talent. Not long joined Matchroom. They're very
Mm,
high on his talents, of course. Uh,
yeah.
Still very young, trained by Pat Barrett, his uncle, who was an excellent fighter back in his day. I say it like it was ages ago. He's probably about the same age as me. But yeah, just a really, really exciting fighter. One loss, obviously, previously in his career to Ronnie Clark.
Yeah.
Going up against Eric Donovan, who's had very little publicity as a pro, but was a world class amateur mixed with the best amateurs in the world, won a world bronze medal, was in line for the Olympics before he broke his hand, fought in the WSB, beaten Domenico Valentino is one of the great Italian amateur,
Yeah.
came up short against Albert Selimov, just mixed in great company and hasn't been tested at all so far as a pro. Getting on a bit now as well. I think he's like 30 or 31. So this is his real kind of do or die moment. But I spoke to him recently for an interview. He seems like such a positive guy as well. He's going to go in there. He's going to give it his all, and he's got those technical skills to give Zelfa Barrett everything he can handle. So for me, that's a mouthwatering prospect.
Yeah, I love Zelfa Barrett. I spoke about him before, but just his style, his movement, he's so slick. He's obviously Flash, that's his middle name, but the way he fights, even if he goes to a decision, he's one of those fighters where I just think I could sit here for a whole 12 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever it is, and I just love watching him fight, to be fair. But moving on to my second pick, and I'm going to go with the two British girls headlining pay-per-view. Sorry, card number 2, is it?
Yeah.
Natasha Jonas versus Terry Harper. And the reason I go for this, not just because of the styles that the fight creates, but the fact that it's the first women's world title fight with two British fighters. I think it's a huge occasion for the sport. And I think it's hopefully going to blow up women's boxing even more than it already is. Obviously, with Katie Taylor doing so much for British boxing, women's British boxing already is fantastic. But seeing these girls put on a show will be really interesting. I'm backing Natasha Jonas because I just think she's got so much more grit in her. Not saying Terry Harper doesn't. She's undefeated and Terry Harper's amazing as well. But that fight it's going to be great. I'm like breathing over and getting all giddy about it. I can't wait, man.
It's nice to see. It's nice to see. So I'm going to go for, it's a difficult one now, but I'm going to go for Eggington Cheeseman, which is the headliner on Fight Week 1. For me, they might not be the most technically gifted out of all the fighters. Like we talked about Zelfa Barrett, Eric Donovan, that's 2.
This isn't about that, though.
No, it's just guaranteed fireworks and entertainment. Yeah. Whether Cheeseman fights on the front foot like we've seen him so many times, or he decides to get up on his toes like he did against Scott Fitzgerald, either way, they're going to meet head on at some point, probably quite early in the fight. It's hard to see it going the distance, hard to see it not being incredibly exciting, edge of the seat stuff. And it's really going to kick Fight Camp off with a bang. So, yeah, definitely that's my second pick.
Yeah, defo. What a way to start, to be fair. And it leads me on to my third pick. I know it's going to be controversial, but it's coming again from a British perspective. Fabio Wardley versus Simon Vallely. I don't know why I said it like that. I've seen him fight like loads of times. But I just think British heavyweights fighting, especially with obviously Fabio being managed by Dillian Watt, I just think it's really exciting for his career. And I want to see that obviously in the first week. August the 1st, that fight's going down, and I just think it's just going to be really just British heavyweights does something to the sport, and I really can't wait to see it. I said in the boxing episode, I think Vallely has a chance. I think Fabio wins, but it's definitely going to be a great fight, and obviously for the prospects of heavyweight British boxing as well, that's an exciting one. I think. Do you think he could go on to fight? Who do you think he could go on to fight if Fabio wins?
It's a good question. I mean, he's kind of English title, fringe British title level, isn't he? I mean, the British title up with Dubois and Joyce, but I'd like to see. I said this to him when I interviewed him. I'd quite like to see
the English title's on the line.
Yeah, I'd quite like to see Fabio Wardley against Dave Allen.
Yeah, that's a good fight. And then you got Bacoli. You've got loads. But later down the line, I guess if he wins, he's got many options. But yeah, on to your third pick now.
So my final pick, I want to give a couple of honourable mentions first, just to say that these were 2 that almost made it. But Reece Bellotti against Jordan Gill, Fight Week 1, I think it's a really good fight. And Shannon Courtney against Rachel Ball. One of the highlights from the third show, which it's going to turn out that the third show is the only one where none of the fights have made it onto our top 6, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just the way it is. But the one I'm actually going to go for is on that pay-per-view show, and it's Clay against Congo. Just an excellent fight. And the reason it edged Gil Bellotti for me is that I find it easier to pick a winner, rightly or wrongly, for Gil Bellotti than I do Clay Congo. I think Clay Congo is a genuine 50-50 fight. Chris Congo is a really good amateur. People have been talking about him in gyms around London for years now, how good he is, how talented he is. He's bounced around different trainers. He's never really got a foothold, but this is his big chance to impress on a pay-per-view show. And then you've got Luther Clay, who's done things the hard way, been on small hall shows, often had to fight in the away corner. Very talented, well-rounded fighter. Trains now since his last fight under Adam Martin at the new Boxing Booth gym, which is an excellent gym with great facilities. And obviously getting to spar with and train alongside the likes of Josh Kelly, Nick Conlon, that can only bring a fighter on. And there's a bit of needle there as well, in that initially Clay wasn't going to take the fight because he didn't have long enough to prepare. He wanted to wait for the fans to come back. Another offer came in. Congo and his team had needled him a little bit on social media. So then he's feeling affronted. So he's come back at him. And now it's finally on August 22nd. And yeah, if there was any fight that was going to make me buy the pay-per-view, it's that one. That said, I'm not going to buy it unless Katie Taylor gets a really good opponent. But that's the standout fight for me on that show, and one of the standout fights of Fight Camp as a whole.
Yeah, the fourth Fight Camp is one to watch. It's just the Katie Taylor saga. That's the one that's really kind of set stone to the pedestal that like Eddie Hearn set him with that pay-per-view, because regardless,
set stone to the pedestal. Did you just say?
Did I?
You said something like that. I think you've mixed about 5 different metaphors in one.
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
That could be your maybe set stone to the pedestal. You could set the trend.
It sets the pedestal to where like the levels are gonna be. And no, I just think the Katie Taylor fight, hopefully she fights Serrano, because Serrano's knockout power just creates for such an interesting fight. Can she knock out Katie Taylor? And considering women have 2-minute rounds and Serrano knocks out as many women as she does, it's crazy. But we'll see on that one.
Good stuff. Well, guys, let us know what you think. You've heard our individual top threes.
Yeah.
Let us know who you feel's won out of myself and Joe. Who's got the better?
Let us know if you think we set stone to the pedestal as well.
Yeah, set stone to the pedestal.
I'm back. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. And let us know also who you think we've missed out of. We've picked 6 fights. Who was unlucky not to make the cut through one or both of us? We'll be back next week. Joe's frozen, so dazzled has he been by my picks. But we'll be back next week for the next Who You Back In. And we really appreciate your time. Cheers.